I'm Zoe Burgess-Foreman. By day, I research anime and manga, particularly the Lost Decade, and non-binary characters and storytelling in anime and manga. And by night, I write adult fiction for women. Manga to me has always been, as a translation, the Japanese equivalent of a graphic novel. Manga is a comic book that will often be adapted into anime in the animated form. I always take anime as if it has been produced by a Japanese studio and based on works by a Japanese creative team, then it's anime. So that can include stuff that outsources anime to studios such as Korean illustrators, but also can include anime that's being co-produced between companies from France, like we did in the early days. When I was thinking about the difference between Ghibli as an anime studio and the anime I watch, I find that Ghibli is very much rooted in traditional Japanese culture and their traditional art forms, their ideas towards nature and beauty and their culture and their histories. Even if it is mythologized, it's still rooted in a more kind of traditional and that more natural art that they very much appeals to them, as opposed to a lot of the anime that I watch and you find in television shows that is more representative of counterculture and is the exact opposite and a way to explore an escape from traditional Japanese society and worlds they built. So the Lost Decade is a period that started in 1989 and ended roughly about 2005. And it was framed by when, after the wonderful period of the 80s where Japan was horrendously affluent and they had a technological boom, and the bubble burst, the economic society collapsed. And it's what gave birth to novels and movies such as Battle Royale that came out in 1991. Battle Royale is one of my favourite Japanese films. And then it's framed at the other end in 2005 is when the sarin gas attacks happened in Tokyo. And that's when one of the cults that was upset with the strict regime of Japanese society started to decide they wanted to teach Japan a lesson and place sarin gas on all the tube systems to cause a terrorist attack. And it's framed by these two social events because it was a period where particularly youth culture and adult culture no longer connected. Youth culture, because of the economic collapse, was when the rise of the highest rates of suicides among salarymen and office workers because they couldn't provide for their family, and Japan's very steeped in that the seppuku, the ritualistic suicide of if you can't provide and you can't make it as a dominant male, it's better to kill yourself than to continue on. And then young people growing up in this culture were like, why should we respect older people if their way out of problems is to commit suicide? So it gave birth to what's known as dissatisfied youth culture, which is what Battle Royale is about. It's a hypothetical, what if, how do we deal with these angry teenagers in the most extreme way? And it gave birth to a whole genre of anime that was about social commentary and the divide between youth and older. I mean, the famous one that came out during that period is Neon Genesis Evangelion, which is very much the very first in what was called New Wave Mecha. So Mecha had been a traditional, you get in a robot and fight, as opposed to what Evangelion did, which was very much about the psychological well-being of young children put in a pressure situation by adults that thought because we're adults we get to have the right to make up the mind of what children can do. I suppose the children are actually, adults have been corrupted by society, they're in it for money and relationships and their own views. When we're in this pre-pubescent age, we still have all that ahead of us, and therefore we should have the right to say where we go with our society, then with lots of added layers of metaphor about religion and symbolism. It's a very amazing series. I mean, it all depends on what you want. If I'm being self-indulgent fangirl, I love the works of Yoshiaki Kawajiri. his titles I tend to lean towards the more adult titles, but he's very much like Monsters and Mayhem, although Ninja Scroll, one of those beautifully animated ninja culture movie. But yeah, if you like monsters and action and gore, Yoshiaki Kawajiri. If you want to be tested, anything by Kunihiko Ikehara, like this is the person that brought you Tenor, War Penguin Drum, is an amazing look at the sarin gas attacks, but in a completely like fantastical, metaphorical blending of like social like commentary on Japan series, but it's just magical and beautiful. And then if I want to really like something that's a bit more hard sci-fi, is the works of Project Ito, where it's very much like alternate timelines of what happens when you blend social commentary with modern technology and kind of sci-fi perspectives. It's very much like movies like Source Code and Born Identity, but reinterpreted by a Japanese science fiction writer. So I watch a lot of my anime, obviously on Crunchyroll, but it's not very well promoted on it, but Amazon Prime is getting a couple of really interesting titles on there. The ones they've got on there, I mean, they do feature some of the feature films, like they've got Your Name on there and The Boy and the Beast on there as well. They do have a lot of the TV shows that I like that are slightly more kind of darker, psychological, science fiction ones. So if you have strong stomach and you're into the more adult material, there's things like Mahou Shoujo Sight, which is the most extreme version of a magical girl anime you can find. Happy Sugar Life, that will really test you. But then also wonderful like the feudal fantasy anime like Dororo, which is very popular at the moment, can be found on Amazon Prime. Okay, so something that I haven't mentioned yet would be Perfect Blue by Satoshi Kon. Because A, he's a true auteur, absolutely beautiful visionary. Perfect Blue is rated 18, but it was the first time that I saw an anime that proved that animation can just transcend through storytelling. And it is a psychological thriller, and it's very clever and very well animated, and it's just so worth checking out.